Hey guys, I'm Nicole,
And I'm Grace.
and today we are talking about Amaterasu.
Amaterasu is the goddess of the sun and one of the most important, if not the most important, kami in Japan. She is the ruler of Takamon no Hara, the domain of the kami or spirits. The imperial family is also said to descend from her. She has many shrines like the extremely famous Ise Chingu dedicated to her, which is also the official shrine of the imperial family. But how did Amaterasu become the it girl of kami? Let's start from the very beginning.
Amaterasu was apparently born through her father's left eye. Her parents Izanami and Izanagi, who we have talked about before in class, who are also known as the divine male and female gods of creation. Made their daughter, Amaterasu, the ruler of the sky. She was born when her father performed a cleansing ritual in the Woto River after escaping from his visit to the underworld. So let's see some photos of the goddess herself.
Later in her life, she ends up marrying her brother Tsukuyomi, who is the god of the moon. But that doesn't really last long. One day, the goddess of food named Yuke Mochi invited Amaterasu over for a huge feast. Unfortunately, Amaterasu couldn't go, so she sent her husband instead. The way Yuke Mochi prepared the food apparently wasn't good enough for him, so he killed her. He ends up telling Amaterasu when he gets home, and she was so upset that she deemed him as an evil god and broke up with him. She sent him to a different part of the sky, and that created night and day.
So we all know the story about how she decided to deal with her brother Susanoo, who, after he had a tantrum, decided to destroy her rice fields and put an inside-out horse into her house. All because she beat him in a challenge. She ends up hiding in a cave until the gods throw a party outside the cave and lure her out with a party and the mirror hung by some beads on a tree.
Her brother ends up doing his own thing for a while and kills the 8-headed and 8-tailed serpent. While cutting through the 4th tail, he finds the Kusanagi no Tsurugi and gives it to Amaterasu as an apology. This leaves Amaterasu with the 3 pieces of imperial regalia, which includes the mirror used to lure her out of the cave, the beads the mirror hung on, and finally the sword. Eventually, she passed it on to her grandson and sent him to Earth. He then passed them on to his son, Jimmu, who became Japan's first emperor. This is how the imperial family is directly related to the goddess.
So here's some fast facts. Amaterasu is believed to actually have 5 children, all boys, which we will put on the screen now.
Some believe that she is in relation to snakes and or dragons.
The worship of Amaterasu, to the exclusion of other kami, has been described as the cult of the sun.
She goes by 10 different names, which we will display here.
She was actually originally believed to be a man and to be connected to the name Hiroko. So let's talk about some of the ideas surrounding Amaterasu, beginning with a feminist view of who she is and her story. Because of her high position among the Shinto deities and her influence, there has been a lot of debate about women's positions in early Japanese society. Some scholars actually argue that Amaterasu's position suggests that there were women in high positions more often than we believe, including female priests and women in Japanese politics and even religion.
In Alone Among Women, a comparative mythic analysis of the development of Amaterasu theology, The idea that Amaterasu's life and story in general is from a not-so-woman-friendly perspective. While we won't go into too much detail on what that entails, in the journal it is said that because Amaterasu was born from her father's eye and not from her mother, who is a woman, that it is not representative of the equation woman equals nature. Amaterasu is represented as the product of the equation man equals culture, as a means to assert their own superiority. Whether this is true or not, I think is important to be open to all perspectives and is helpful to growing our knowledge and ideas.
So let's talk about other believed forms of Amaterasu and different types of worship and comparisons. While she is the goddess of the sun, she also has connections to being worshipped of forms of nature like the goddess of the wind and typhoons. The Issei region, which we are actually near, has a lot of local legends surrounding Amaterasu. These legends include her relation to nameless goddesses of the underworld and sea. Her name has been associated with these legends because of how the Shinto religion grew in Japan.
One of the coolest things about Amaterasu is that while she is enshrined at other locations across the globe, she has a name that can be seen to represent Japan. Her kinship to the imperial family shows how deeply rooted she is in Japanese culture. It is believed that in the Meiji era, Amaterasu fought against the Izumo belief in Okuni Nushu so that she can have spiritual control over Japan. This is when it was believed that the religious nature of Okuni Nushu had been changed to be included in Shinto mythology. Some of her shrines are even thought to not only be worshipped to Amaterasu, but Japan itself.
A comparison we came across actually a few times was the idea of Amaterasu and the Virgin Mother. Her sons were thought to be birthed from Amaterasu's essence, in other words, from non-sexual and way of life ways, thus leaving her a Virgin Mother. See where the comparison comes in now? One of her 5 children was Oshio Homimi, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who is the ancestor to the imperial family. Now she is not only viewed as a virgin mother, but also the mother of the royal bloodline title.
Amaterasu's life and legacy continues to live on in Shinto and all across Japan. Being the most well-known kami isn't something she just got by existing. Her continuous impact and power continues to spread through not only Japan, but across the world. Amaterasu is a kami whose name you shouldn't take lightly.
Thank you for listening.